Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be reacting to
18 tips I wish I knew before visiting Croatia.
A couple months living in Croatia. I even loved it so much I got married there a few years ago, but there are a few things that I wish I had known before visiting, so I'm going to share those with you today. So we're going to cover the kind of the best ways of getting around the country because there's some important
that's a
tips
big
there.
deal to get
We're gonna
married
talk
there.
about some cultural things
I
and
would
general
think
tips that you'll want
maybe the wife is Croatian, because otherwise that is kind of random.
to know about, some places that you definitely shouldn't miss that a lot of tourists do end up missing, and going to talk about some of those overrated places on the coast and one place that I think is a must visit. So the first thing that you want to know is that Croatia geographically stretches really far north to south, and it's not really well connected like other European cities. There's not a good train network that will connect you from the north to the south, so you're really left with two options. You can take a bus, which in my experience wasn't the best, which is why I'd actually recommend having a rental car. It's really going to give you the access that you need to visit a lot of the places that most tourists end up skipping, and we'll talk about some of those later on in the video. I ended up renting through discovercars.com. It's been a pretty good experience, so if you're looking for somebody to rent through, I'll leave a link in the description so you can check them out. But the next thing to know is that Croatia does seem to rely a little bit more on cash than other European countries. Another really important thing to know is that in some countries, the cities that you're staying in, sometimes it's best to kind of be on the outskirts because you'll find better deals, and the outskirts are kind of better than the downtowns. But
I think that's common sense in any place to look on the outskirts. It's going to be cheaper than in the downtown. Like,
Yeah, but then also commuting.
fair enough, but I mean, I guess it's like a cost, time, benefits. What do you have more? Are you trying to save money or are you trying to save time? I guess that's what you kind of got to look at.
in my experience, I'd actually say it's the exact opposite. In Croatia, wherever you are, you want to stay as close to the center of downtown as you possibly can.
Plus, the guy just said rent a car. I feel like if you do rent a car, it's better to live on the outskirts because one, you can drive yourself. You don't have to rely to like taking an Uber or a bus to get to the center. So that's not an issue. And two, if you do have a car, parking downtown like overnight, wherever the hotel might be a problem. So I don't know. I would say I'll stay on the outskirts.
But
What do I
also
know?
note that while yes, hotels are great, Airbnbs have been a really positive experience for me in Croatia. And that's not just in the city centers, also in some of those more remote places that we'll talk about in just a minute. Another cultural thing to keep in mind is that Sundays are really quiet. People like to take that day as a day of rest, spend time with family. So expect a lot of businesses to be closed. So keep that in mind. Maybe treat Sunday as a day tripping day and some time to spend on the beach. Speaking of the beaches, do make sure to note that most of the beaches in Croatia, while they are beautiful, they are not sandy. They tend to be rocky beaches, so be prepared for that. Maybe bring some water shoes. It's going to help a lot because you're going to want to spend a lot of time on the beaches.
Yes,
Another
of
thing
course,
to
on
note,
the
and this
bed.
is a mistake that I think a lot of tourists
That's
make,
mud, not
is
grass.
recognize that Croatia is not just the Dalmatian coast. While yes, it has some beautiful beaches, there's plenty to see, and we'll talk about that in a minute. There's a lot more to see inland. One of those places that I think is really important to see is Zagreb. It's the capital of Croatia. It often gets overlooked because it's nowhere near the water, but in my opinion, it's one of the most special.
Really? That often gets overlooked. I feel like that's one of the main cities that we see. I feel like three cities, Dubrovnik, Zagreb, and Split. Like those are the three cities that we always see mentioned. I don't feel like Zagreb gets overlooked.
Places in the country. I spent a full month living there, and I thought it was a great place for a couple of reasons. One, it's not touristy like the Dalmatian coast, which means you're gonna get to see the real local
Interesting.
culture, which I think is pretty special. Also note that Zagreb is gonna give you great access to some other places like Ljubljana, which is the capital of Slovenia, another place that I don't think that you should miss. That's only about an hour and a half, 2-hour train ride from
really
Zagreb.
close.
And another place from Zagreb that is well worth seeing is Plitvice National Park. It is
Yes, we've
unbelievable,
seen that.
probably the most beautiful place in all of Europe that we've ever seen. It is a national park with just these lakes that are absolutely stunning, a must-see, and the best way to access it is just driving from Zagreb. It's about a 2-hour drive. Yes, you can take some of those buses, but this is one of those instances where that rental car will probably come in handy. So definitely make sure to check that out and make sure to buy your tickets.
Not close to Zagreb. He said, oh, it's close by Zagreb, but 2-hour drive in European terms, that's not really close. That's kind of...
For US standards, it's
Yeah,
not
for American standards, 2-hour drive is okay, but for European, I would think like 2-hour drive, that's not close at all.
advance because it is something that you need tickets to. But I want to tell you about one other place that some tourists miss. This one is a little bit closer down on the coast, but it's again an inland day trip that is just as beautiful as Plitvice, and that is Krka National Park. It's some waterfalls and
heard
again,
about this.
just stunning
I don't
scenery.
remember it.
It's about an hour and a half drive from either Split or Zadar, kind of like right in the middle of those. So a really easy
Oh.
day trip from either of those
Zadar, another one of those cities that we keep hearing, yeah.
destinations, but again, it's going to be easiest to have a rental car. But let's talk about some of those main spots on the coast that you're likely going to want to hit. I want to tell you about the one that I think is the most underrated first, then I'll tell you about the one that I think is overrated and the one that you absolutely can't miss. So that most underrated one that I think a lot of tourists end up skipping over is Zadar. And I think a lot of people skip over Zadar because they choose Split, and I get that, but Zadar is also right up against the water, and it's going to give you a little bit more realistic feel of what local culture is actually like. And they've got the sea organ and the sundial, which are right up against
Yes,
the
we've
coast.
seen
They are
that.
beautiful. The waves literally make music.
That's cool.
And if you go at
That's
sunset,
definitely something
you've
to
got this
see. I think it's interesting. It's very unique. I've never heard of anything else in the world like. Maybe there is, but it's very unique. That's definitely something to see.
like solar sundial thing that is charging up throughout the day. It makes this light show at night. It is just absolutely spectacular, something that you definitely shouldn't miss. But let's talk about that place that I think is most overrated, and I already
Dubrovnik?
mentioned a little bit, and it is Split.
Oh,
I didn't love Split as much as a lot of other people do, and I think there are a few reasons for that. One, what I'm typically looking for when I travel is the local culture, and for me, I felt like Split was the most touristy of all the places on the coast. Yes, they had a beautiful palace, but they really seemed to commercialize it and I don't know, kind of this inauthentic way, and it just kind of felt like a hyped up Miami, a lot of wealthy people, a lot of just yachts and party scene, which just isn't the vibe that
Taking
I'm
shots
typically
over
looking
here.
for. It just didn't feel like the rest of Croatia to me, so maybe you'll have a better experience than I did, but it wasn't my favorite. But the place that
That's
I
interesting. Now I want to see more videos about Split down that he gave. We've seen Split before. I didn't really give me Miami in particular, but I want to see where this Miami comparison comes from. That's interesting.
absolutely would advise you to visit, which I know is also touristy, is Dubrovnik. It is different because it
Wow.
is just absolutely stunning. They have this raw beauty that Split, in my opinion, does not have. There's a reason Game of Thrones picked that place as the filming location. So beautiful that my wife and I actually decided to get married there a couple of years ago. If you want to learn more about Dubrovnik, I've got a whole video telling you what you need to know before visiting.
Interesting, but we've seen people say that Dubrovnik is kind of overrated, unless you're a Game of Thrones fan. If you're a fan, yeah, it makes sense. But
Yeah,
That's-
and now I'm lost. Everyone has different opinions.
yeah, I guess he's putting it as a don't miss, so that's a little interesting. But
Can I see those comments?
yeah,
I know there's some people that can disagree.
people from Split gonna not like this. Zadar was my husband's favorite, and Plitvice was my favorite. Just got back from Croatia. Split is a must-see. 1700 years old. If you don't like history and amazing Roman architecture, then don't go. Must-see.
Oh,
Plitvice is once in a lifetime. You will never forget the experience. Yeah, Plitvice. We've seen Plitvice, and obviously in the videos, but that one video was super beautiful. So just Nin, Game of Thrones.
Guys, of course, let us know your thoughts. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Join the Discord. And as always, share as much kindness as possible.